I wanted to bring a different angle because everyone constantly talks about the end result, right? The end result. So in 2020, who won the Super Bowl? What team won the Super Bowl?
The Buccaneers?
Okay, do you know where Tom Brady ranked when it came to interceptions thrown that season?
He threw a lot, right?
Yeah, he threw the third most that season.
Yeah.
You know who threw the least when it comes to starters? Baker Mayfield. Who won the Super Bowl that year? 2021.
Stafford, right? And threw a ton of picks,
Led the NFL in interceptions.
Yeah.
And
I like where you're going,
Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes threw the third most. So the Super Bowl winner threw the most. And then Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, who were in the conversation for top 2, top 3, threw the third most interceptions. You know who threw the least that year? Carson Wentz.
Oh, your other guy.
Let's go to last year, 2022. Who won the Super Bowl? Who won the Super Bowl?
Kansas City,
You know where Patrick Mahomes ranked throwing interceptions last year?
How many?
Second most.
Behind.
You know where Joe Burrow was? Third most. You know who threw the least? Daniel Jones. So can we stop this stupid conversation about interceptions and, oh my gosh, Josh Allen, and it's going to be the reason that they don't win a Super Bowl? The last 3 quarterbacks who've won Super Bowls have all been in the top 3 or 4 of interceptions thrown that season.
I'm going to be honest with y'all. When I initially saw this conversation taking place, and even now as I'm recording this video, I'm not quite sure where we're going to go with this video, but I need y'all to kind of buckle in and take this ride with me, because I'm going to be honest, bro. Objectively speaking, just looking from the outside looking in, as a black man, bro, as someone who sees these clips, who sees these programs, no, I do not tune in and watch them religiously and things like that, but I see the things that are being said. I see the context of the under which they're being said. I be sure to seek out the full context of a conversation before I'll just use a clipping to kind of provide the basis for the conversation we're going to have, or the dialogue we're going to have this day in a video or any given video. And Dan Orlovsky, bro, it's honestly getting kind of disgusting. It's honestly getting kind of disgusting, the level of borderline, y'all know where I'm going with it, that you're displaying on national television at this point. At the very minimum, it's a severe level of tribalism, because there is not a single black quarterback I have ever seen you get this passionate about, period, on any program at any time. Yes, you were one of the first people to try to introduce CJ Stroud to the MVP conversation. I will give you that. But I will also give you that you are a college educated man, and you have been around in the media industry for a few years now. And I'm sure you have some publicists, and I'm sure you have some smart people that are on your team. And I'm sure that you understand that there's ways that you can position things to where you always have something to fall back on, just to be able to say, well, look, I didn't do that here. Jalen Hurts is another one, but the thing about Jalen Hurts is he plays for your wife's favorite team. So of course you're going to show public support for him sometimes, and even then, you don't even give Jalen Hurts the level of protection that you've provided for players like Josh Allen, that you've provided for players like Justin Herbert, that you've provided for players like Trevor Lawrence, that you've provided for players like Jared Goff, that you have provided for other players like Carson Wentz, that you have provided for players that look like they could be invited to your family's Thanksgiving gathering. And I'm just being 100% real with you, because for you to sit there and make this argument talking about interceptions and being so disgusted with the idea of interceptions being used as a counting stat against what a valuable quarterback looks like, and stating factual information, by the way, and this is information that I've discussed with you guys on this channel as it pertains to looking at the other quarterbacks back in history. And to be real, Dan Orlovsky might have seen this video, because he came with a very similar argument to what I was making in that video in protection of Dak Prescott, as Dan Orlovsky tried to use that very conversation about interceptions to continuously trash and tear down Dak Prescott and his public perception as a player in the National Football League, and someone who has obtained a certain mastery of his position in the National Football League. And in a moment when Cam Newton quite obviously was trying to bait everyone to give his platform more views, the same way he did with Charleston White, where I guess they simulated some sort of disagreement or argument in the majority of the podcast, and then towards the end he switches up and is like, okay, now that I got the views, let's go ahead and talk about the things that you wanted to talk about. It's very obvious what Cam Newton was doing, but now that Cam Newton said that, and he put Dak Prescott's name in there, you try to use that as a moment to kind of sit on, to feel like someone's agreeing with me. Someone's validating the things that I've been saying. No, Dan Orlovsky, no one is validating the things that you've been saying, bro. Do you think that anybody is really looking at Cam Newton as someone who has had teammates come out and criticize this man about his IQ and his decision making, his accuracy on the football field? Do you think that anybody is really looking at Cam Newton as some type of quarterback guru? Someone that was a former MVP in the National Football League and was able to take a team to the Super Bowl, but yet was out of a job by age 32 because he could not read a defense and play quarterback at the position at a high level without being able to use his legs. His injuries took him completely out. His shoulder was absolutely shot. When you don't have the arm talent anymore, all you can do at that point is utilize your mind, like Peyton Manning did later in his career, that allowed him to buy a few more years on his career where he was at least able to play at a decent level. But you try to use that moment as a flashpoint for you to feel like, yes, this is a moment validating what I'm saying. Well, nah, bro, I'm gonna be real. The way that you just sit here and just passionately defended Josh Allen with the very same argument that you yourself have used to devalue other quarterbacks that don't look like Josh Allen, that don't look like Trevor Lawrence, that don't look like Jared Goff, that don't look like Justin Herbert. You've used that very same argument to devalue all those other guys. But we as a viewing audience and we as the public that can see these things, because regardless if there's going to be people that disagree with me and are uncomfortable with me introducing this element to the conversation, which I don't care if you're uncomfortable, it's okay. This channel is about making people uncomfortable. This channel is about making waves. I'm not trying to fit in. I'm trying to make waves in this industry. Let's be very clear. So I don't mind making people uncomfortable. And everything that I'm saying is just based off of my observation. Obviously, I cannot verifiably prove that this man is practicing tribalism or that this man is showing an affinity towards quarterbacks that looks like him. But that's damn sure what it looks like, because we have never seen you be this passionate about anyone else. Never, Dan Orlovsky. But I'm going to tell you, it's beyond the numbers, because we don't need to go and look at the numbers to understand that this is a ridiculous conversation to be having. This is a ridiculous statement to even have about a team that's barely at 500, and if the Cowboys beat them, they're going to be back floating right at 500 or right below it. You're talking about a team that's right at 500. You're talking about someone being MVP on that team, and this person is leading and one of the top people tied in leading the league in turnovers all season long. And this person has been perfectly healthy all season long, and his team isn't even positioned for the playoffs currently.
Yes, we probably have 6 game changers at that position in the NFL right now, maybe 7. Most guys are game managers. Now, there's different levels of game managers. That doesn't mean they're bad players. Jared Goff, yes, is a game manager. He's a high-end game manager. Dak Prescott, a game manager, a high-end game manager.
This year that he's playing that way, that would be my question. Is Dak not playing at a higher level than that?
But Green, he is, yes. Yeah. I have said this for years. There's like 6 or 7 guys that you put them anywhere and they're going to be good. And then there's a group of like another 7 or 8 that are really good players. And then dependent upon what is around them, if you got the good offensive line and good playmakers and really good play caller, they can play into that level. But that's not who they are over the body of work.
You know, the most frustrating part about that entire take is before the season, the Dallas Cowboys offense was the biggest question mark for this entire team. We have Tony Pollard, who everyone wasn't sure could be a lead back and still hasn't really proved he can be a lead back, although he is being more efficient as we've gotten later into the season. We had CeeDee Lamb, where people were questioning whether he was even a true number 1 wide receiver, and people didn't really know how the Cowboys would really be able to use Brandon Cooks in this particular offense. Michael Gallup's been trying to recover from an injury and has never really looked the same as he was before that injury. And even before that injury, he was at best a secondary wide receiver on a team. We had a tight end position in which we just drafted a tight end in the 2nd round, thinking that that position was really in flux. We didn't even realize that Dak Prescott was going to help Jake Ferguson come into his own as one of the premier tight ends in the NFC. All these questions we had about the Dallas offense, not including an offensive line the very first time, has been whole just now this season. all these questions about the Dallas Cowboys offense, and yet we're going to continuously allow people to throw these subtle shots as if the things that are happening right now are because everything around Dak Prescott is perfect, when that is not the case. We saw how this offense looked when they tried to run it a different way. Only when the offense was placed upon the shoulders of Dak Prescott did the Dallas Cowboys offense completely take off and start averaging more than 35 points per game. What are we talking about here? Also, I'm very much so tired of these bench-warming quarterbacks who weren't even game managers. Dan Orlovsky, he wasn't even good enough to be considered a game manager, talking about what it takes for a quarterback to be on what level. Dak Prescott has an overall career 99 passer rating. You know how ridiculous it is to have an almost 100 passer rating for your entire career?
See, if you're going to try to be a caricature of an analyst, you need to at least make sure that you understand the rules of engagement so you don't make yourself look like a certain way. Because I'm going to be the one that calls it out, bro. If no one else says anything else, or if anybody else is uncomfortable to have that conversation, I have not seen you have this much passion about any other quarterback that is black. Jalen Hurts or not, I have not seen you have this much passion about anyone else to the point to where you're ready to break down in tears over the mere thought of someone saying that the blame needs to be on this young man for once in his damn career. But I have seen you be this passionate about trying to tear down people that don't look like you. And I love people of all shades and colors. I'm going to be very clear about that. I grew up with a stepmother for 20 years of my life, and still she is in my life to this day, that is a white woman. This is about me as a viewer observing something that is quite frankly making me uncomfortable at this point. It's not even about sports anymore. And all these videos and all these other videos, I'll roast these analysts. I'll talk my smack. I'll make it hard on them the same way they make it hard on our players, which is my point. I'm purposely doing that. I'm purposely being a little bit unfair in maybe my approach to my criticism of them and how they conduct themselves within their profession. I'm purposely doing that because that's how they're doing these players. So the media needs someone to have those checks and balances for them. That's the reason I'm doing that. But I also understand that there are undertones and gray areas in all aspects of life. And damn it, if I can shine some light on the gray area and make that area show its true colors, then that's what I'm going to do. Point blank, period. And Dan Orlovsky, again, this is not the video where I'm about to go and break down stats, because what you're doing doesn't deserve that. The things that you're saying, the things that you're displaying on national television doesn't deserve that. It deserves a real conversation to be had about your viability as someone that's supposed to be educating a general audience. Either way, man, y'all know always in these videos, at this point, we have heard from Aaron Rodgers. We have heard from Super Bowl champions like Chris Long. We have heard from players that have much more respectable opinions than anyone named Cam Newton or Dan Orlovsky about what Dak Prescott is as a quarterback. We don't need these guys' validation and never have. But everything does get to a point where discussions need to be had. Either way, y'all know always in these videos, man, how them Cowboys. See you on the next one.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still the ball? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Hey! I'm still them boys.